Hey, what's up everybody, this is Muth24, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the special edition release of the Full Metal Alchemist film Conqueror of Shamballa. I am going to say right off the bat that if you haven't seen the 2003 anime series in its entirety, there will be spoilers in here, so do be forewarned about that. But basically this film starts off with Ed and Al going to investigate this guy named Huskisson, who is a researcher and using the technology available to them in the Full Metal Alchemist world, has essentially created a nuclear bomb. And even though he says it's, for the betterment of research and betterment of mankind and everything, Ed and Al aren't convinced and, basically say that he's going to use it for destructive purposes and go ahead and try and apprehend him. And while this isn't entirely clear where specifically this takes place in the Full Metal Alchemist timeline, we do know that it's sometime during the midst of the original series, quite some time before the series wraps up and everything, because, Ed and Al are sent there by the state to go investigate. And it doesn't really sum up what happened in the series by any means, because it's really short, it's really quick, and this character never even showed up in the series before. But it does give viewers a quick refresher on, how Ed and Al had a little brother dynamic there during the series before they got separated through the gate. And if viewers are new to the story and everything, which might be kind of hard to follow without having seen the series, it does, again, give them a good idea of how Ed and Al interacted. So then it fast forwards to Germany, where Ed is now living with a researcher named Alphonse Heydrich, and as his name implies, he is basically our world's counterpart of Alphonse Elric. And despite the fact that Ed tells him time and time again about these stories with him and his brother back in the Full Metal Alchemist world, Alphonse isn't really convinced of that. He thinks it's all fairy tales that Ed's making up to entertain him. And Ed himself isn't entirely sure if this new world that he's in is real or if it's just some sort of fairy tale or dream. And after that, we get to see what's happened on the other side of the gate in the Full Metal Alchemist world, with Alphonse Elric now having his body back. And it's very clear that he's become a very skilled alchemist in a very short period of time, having learned a lot from Teacher and from all the friends that he and Ed made over the years, even though he doesn't exactly remember all of them. And he's going to encounter Armstrong, he'll encounter Rose, he'll encounter a lot of the major characters from the series. And it's cool to see, even if some of them don't make huge impact in the film's events, just to see little snapshots of them. Like even Cheska shows up for a little bit, Hawkeye and all of the members of Mustang's team show up. Now, on the other side of the gate, there's this group called the Thule Society, and I believe that if they weren't mentioned by name in the series, they were at least hinted at in the last few episodes of the 2003 anime, with Hohenheim interacting with them. And Ed comes to find out that they are trying to get through the gate to what they call Shamballa. It's essentially Ed's home. And this lady named Eckhart is spearheading this whole operation in hopes that it might kind of help the whole growing movement that would eventually become the Nazi regime. It's not quite there at this point in history, but it's growing towards that. So basically they want to fuel this uprising overnight, and the way they're going to try and do that is go into this new world and utilize that as kind of a stepping stone for their goals. And Eckhart initially sends a group of test soldiers through with their suits of armor on, and it's pretty obvious right off the bat that this is going to have some sort of connection to Al's suit of armor. And when they come through, Al and Armstrong and a few others fight them back through this portal, and Al manages to bond part of his soul to the armor, not his entire self, because that's what happened in the series and everything, but enough of him that he can see what's going on when the armor goes back through the portal to the other side of the gate. And through that, he communicates with Ed, and Ed realizes that he has to do something to stop Eckhart's intentions, and it also gives him hope for possibly getting back through, because now he sees that Alphonse is back in his normal body on the other side of the gate and everything. So it's a really, I think, a very fitting conclusion to the 2003 storyline, because obviously it diverges from the manga storyline and the Brotherhood storyline quite a bit. But I feel like End of Evangelion is to Neon Genesis Evangelion what Conqueror of Shamballa is to the original 2003 anime series of Full Metal Alchemist. And with that said, I know End of Evangelion caused a lot of controversy among fans. Personally, I liked it, but I know a lot of people didn't. With this one, I don't feel like there's going to be as much controversy. Obviously, there's going to be some people who just don't like the differences in the stories to begin with, but this being pretty much a completely original story in the Full Metal Alchemist universe, it feels like it flows very naturally with the 2003 series. Despite the fact that Ed can't really use his alchemy in our world, just the character development, how they interact with one another, it feels very natural. The animation quality in this is significantly better than in the series, and that's not to say that the series wasn't good, because I really thought it was a very well animated series, but obviously, since they only have to work on this 2-hour film, they can put a lot more time into making it look nice and everything. The soundtrack kind of pays a tribute to the soundtrack in the series, but also brings enough new pieces to keep things fresh and interesting. For the cover here, you've got Ed in his clothes that he wears in our world, and in the standard version you would have, I think it's the original theatrical poster that they had, with many of the characters on the front, and then the gate and Eckhart's ships and stuff. On the side there, you have the title of the film, and on the back, you have Al in his new alchemist getup that is basically the same thing that Ed wore throughout the entirety of the series. You've got overview of what the film's about, some snapshots, list of the special features and everything. If you flip this open, aside from the postcard and the little booklet of upcoming releases, and there's disc 1 and disc 2, you have the guidebook, and this is pretty cool. It's pretty thick, so you do have a lot to read here, but you've got a lot of artwork, some of the backgrounds before they animated the characters in and everything, interview with the creators about where they wanted to go with the film, how it differed from the series and everything, some major points of interest like characters and events, and then you have some sketches in here. Got some of the digitally rendered tech from the film. Again, some more environments there. And all the credits in the back there. So for a special edition release, I thought it was a really nice guidebook to have. I really like the little guidebooks that they gave with the DVD releases of the series, but this was a good, thick guidebook to have for this film. You get a lot out of it in terms of variety of stuff in there. Now, in terms of the special features, you do, on the first disc, you just get the film itself. And then on the second disc, you have the film 3 times over with different commentaries layered over top of it. And one of those is the Japanese staff, and I haven't actually watched that one, but I guess I would assume it's just them talking about the process of making the film, how it differed from the series, and so on. Another one is the Japanese voice actors, and you have the actors for Winry, Ed, and Al, and then I believe the director of the voice acting and everything. They just talk about what their favorite parts of the film were, how it differed from the series, just the process of doing it in general. And while it's a cool idea, Romi Paku, who voices Ed, she talks way too much. It's like, I really appreciate the fact that she gives all of this, insight into how she did her role and everything, but she really doesn't give the others a chance to talk at all. So that was a bit disappointing to just, hear her talk the entire time through, but not really get anything from anybody else. As for the English voice actors, however, they do a very different style of commentary for this, and I mentioned in my Evangelion 2.22 review that the two commentaries for the English voice actors on those were similar. Basically, they talk about their involvement with the Full Metal Alchemist series and the film, what they liked and maybe what was challenging for them, their favorite characters, and just some of their memories of working on this. And it's a lot more loose, it's a lot more relaxed. I feel like, their input is a lot more genuine instead of recycling the same thing that was already said before. And they don't just invite people who are in this film. They invite some of the voice actors who worked on the series, because with the series we only had the little guidebooks as special features. I think the textless openings and endings were included on the disc as well, but you didn't really have that much in the way of special features on the actual discs before. So for them to throw that in there, I thought was really cool, and to have the voice actors from the series come back and give their input. Like, you've got Chris Patton, who did Greed, and you've got a number of other characters I can't think of off the top of my head, but it's just really cool to see what they thought of the series and, how they went about it. As for other special features, you have the Making of Full Metal Alchemist 40-minute documentary with the director and the staff. You have the theatrical trailers and TV spots. You've got a production art, image gallery, and then trailers for other Funimation releases. You also have a talk session, which is a 54-minute interview with the cast and crew, and then the commentaries, which I already mentioned. I know that the standard version of Conqueror of Shamballa is really pretty inexpensive to pick up now, and if you can find it at Amazon or Right Stuff for, I want to say, like $12 maybe. So it's a pretty cheap buy, but if you want to step up and get this version, I definitely say it's worth it. I don't think I paid that much more for this one. I would say it's like $15 or $16 maybe. But for everything you get, I feel like it's a very nice package. And it was a very satisfying wrap-up for the series for me. The voice actors do a great job of portraying their characters one last time through this film. Well, obviously before Brotherhood came along, but and not all those voice actors carried over. But for me, I do like the Japanese voice actors, but I gotta be honest, I think this is one of the best anime dubs out there, if not the single best. So I really personally can't imagine anybody other than Vic Mignogna as Ed, but Romi Paku still does a very good job, and whatever version you want to watch, both of them are on here, so you can watch it in Japanese or you can watch it in English. And yeah, if you love the 2003 anime series and wanted to see more of that storyline, might want to check out Conqueror of Shamballa, and that's pretty much it. So with that, I will see you guys next time.